Other interesting business news, you have the Ford F-150 Lightning truck sitting at dealerships and gathering dust. In fact, about 22% of all units manufactured are not sold. So nearly one, and I go public schools are all-time low in terms of their test scores, math, science, history, because teachers are more indoctrinating students than actually teaching them. So we'll do a little bit of math here today, or a little fun fact of the day to help offset the lack of knowledge provided in public schools. Now, 22% is close to 25. 25% is 1 out of 4. So nearly 1 out of 4, or a quarter, of all F-150 Lightning trucks ever produced have not been sold. They're gathering dust. Now, this is according to Car Edge, and they say that there are more than 18,000 Ford F-150 Lightning listed, 8,128 as a rating of that article that they covered. And this is a reference to Car Edge. And they noted that through the end of September, Ford had sold 12,260 F-150 Lightnings in the U.S., which I'm actually shocked they sold that many. That's a lot of people who are buying a truck that can't tow anything. But don't make it, maybe it's like the sports balls players in Chicago who buy a Lamborghini but never take it more than 18 miles an hour because you're in Chicago. With the exception of as when you're trying to dodge bullets, it might go to 45 miles per hour to try to dodge it, maybe. Now, they also note that it is up 40% year over year in terms of the volume of units sold. They say that includes 3,503 in the third quarter, which is that particular quarter is down 46% year over year. Wow. The cumulative number being 27,877 units. And they say that if we combine the numbers of vehicles sold, so 27,877, and the list of dealers, 8,128, then it turns out that total is over 36,000. That provides us with the production numbers since the beginning of 2022 and indicates that old sold vehicles account for 22% of all vehicles produced. Now, this also shows you the slowing adoption rate of people who want to buy an EV. Can't help think, but subsequently, because they don't want something that will break in 10 years or not work in 10 years, and is also basically a smartphone that can only be fixed by one person, the original manufacturer. And this is also after they dropped prices by about 15 grand for some of the trim levels on the Ford F-150 Lightning. Which, again, if you're a city guy and you want a truck but you don't want the truck to work, it might make sense, because if you're in the city, you only go maybe 20 miles a day. I'm not saying there's no use case for why it shouldn't exist. I'm just wondering, is there enough units, is there enough demand, enough people wanting it to justify it existing and in it to make a fiscal positive impact on the company? Or is this just going to drain resources from the company? As remember, the only reason right now Ford is profitable is because of Ford Blue. Ford Blue is the thing that everyone knows and loves. It's the good old Ford Mustang, the real one. The Ford F-150, the one with the internal combustion engine. It's their traditional internal combustion engine fleet, or ICE fleet. Though they do not pay any royalties to Vanilla Ice, interestingly enough. Perhaps karma for him ripping off that other band. But nevertheless, they also have Ford Commercial, which is all the ginormous trucks that you know, and they have the Ford EV part of the company. So it's split into three. The only thing that's really making the EV is bleeding money. And these Ford, oh, I'm sorry, almost as if I almost threw up. The Mustang E-Mach, that's gathering more dust on dealership lots as well. And again, it's not just because EVs are not great long-term investments, but it's also because you have record high rates for interest. So if you buy a car, if you have to buy a car right now, it's going to cost you quite a lot. And also, I mean, shoot, depending on what kind of lease you get, it'll probably, or depending on what kind of loan you get, by the time you pay it off, the EV might have a dead battery and subsequently be worth next to nothing. So in terms of prudent financial decisions, at this point with the technology we have today, buying an EV just isn't one for most use cases. Granted, if you work at the company, you get the friends and family discount. If you work at, I was about to say General Motors, most of the big three in terms of GM, Ford, and Chrysler had those discounts, like other companies as well. But in terms of why you go to Michigan, you see so many GM vehicles and so many Ford vehicles and Chrysler vehicles. It's because they have a friend or family that works at one of the big three, and they have a huge, massive discount, which is quite an interesting phenomenon if you ever drive around up in Michigan. I don't recommend it for your safety. If you do, you'd have to pay to have an upgraded armored vehicle or a very fast vehicle to dodge all the crime. But nevertheless, a fascinating area to go visit, some might say. So it'll be interesting to see, do you want an F-150 Lightning? Would you ever buy one? I mean, ever since they had that phenomenon where they had Hoovie, who was a very popular YouTuber, he get the F-150 Lightning, and he actually towed an original Ford Model T. And when he tried to tow it, of course, he got barely anywhere because, again, with the physics we have now, with the technology we have now, the materials we have now with EVs, towing is terrible for EVs. It basically turns it into, the range is basically nothing. The only good use case I can see right now with the technology we have today for an EV semi-truck or an SUV is for a company like PepsiCo, Frito-Lay. And it wouldn't work for the soft drinks because soft drinks are, liquids are very heavy. But for the actual chips, popcorn, basically the 68% of the salty snacks you see in the salty snack aisle are manufactured by Frito-Lay. For them, that makes perfect business sense to have a semi-truck move their products because the products are basically weightless. Or darn near. You see the meme where actually people turn 20 bags of chips into a life raft because there's so much air in it, it is actually buoyant. But nevertheless, that is one use case. But let me know in the comments, can you think of a different use case that would justify getting an F-150 Lightning? And would you ever buy one? I mean, they only come with 2 pedals, not 2, and personally I would want 3. So unfortunately, if I own a truck, there's only one good truck for me, and that'd be the Toyota Tacoma. Because in the United States, that's the one truck you can buy that still has 3 pedals. Like every vehicle should by default, because it's the most fun, optimal experience you can possibly have. Also known as a managed transmission. Also known as, if you don't have one now, buy it before they're gone. Tell a friend. It is one of the most exhilarating, fun experiences you could have. I can't recommend it enough. But it will be interesting to see. Let me know. I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you everyone again for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of October. So if you could click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, any feedback, even if it's harsh or critical, it's greatly appreciated. Throw it in the comments. That way I know how I can improve the show, make it better and better. Lastly, if you like the video, it also helps me know if the video is doing better or not. Or you can always put a downvote, and then I'll know maybe I need to work on the video. Although if you don't comment, I'm not going to know how to actually improve it. So I'll be interested to see what the feedback is from this video. I appreciate it nevertheless. Also, and lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.